Welcome to the third episode of Blueprints and Blanket Forts. My name is Sophie, and his name is
Asher. Welcome back. Thank you guys for joining us again. How have you been, Soph?
Good.
School's almost out. Are you excited for summer?
Yeah.
Are you a little scared for next year?
Yeah.
You are?
Kind of.
Are you kind of excited too?
Yeah.
What's something that you're really excited about for next year?
The teacher that I had for second grade is moving to fourth grade.
Oh, are you going to have her again?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was your favorite teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've liked all your teachers, right?
Yeah.
They've all been awesome. I love it, big girl. So, what do you want to talk about today?
What if somebody wanted to buy our house and they said they had the money for it? How do you know if they're telling the truth or lying?
It's a great question. What do you think you need to do in that situation?
Find all the information you can about them to see about their history, to see if they will lie or tell the truth.
There you go. You need to check, right? If I say, hey, I want to buy this thing, but I don't have any money, can I buy that thing?
No.
No. Can I afford it? No. So what we need to do is we need to check, and that's part of my job as well. So let's say you wanted to go buy a home. The first thing you want to do is talk to me, right? Talk to someone who does loans, because what I'm going to give you is called a pre-approval. Have you ever heard that word?
Before approval?
Yeah. Have you ever heard me talk about a pre-approval?
No.
No, that's okay. What do you think a pre-approval would be based on what I just said?
Before you're approving something?
Approving what?
Approving something before you even know what you have or
Yeah,
what you're gonna do.
you're approving someone, right? So if you want to go buy a home and the seller says, hey, how do I know Sophie can afford this home? I will give you what's called a pre-approval letter, and you'll give it to the seller. And what that tells the seller is, hey, Sophie can afford this home. And now the seller knows you're good to go. Isn't that pretty cool?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're around me all the time outside of school, right? You hear me talk and have conversations with people, with realtors and all that. What do you think Baba checks when it comes to giving someone a pre-approval? What do you think I look at?
Their character and personality and what they've done in the past.
I love those answers. But unfortunately, banks, they do care. Those are great answers. And I do like working with people that have good character and have good personality and are kind to people, right? That is very important. But what does the bank want?
To know if they have enough.
To know if they can
afford it.
Afford it. Bingo. Look at that answer. I didn't even give it to you. You just smart. So that's what they want to do, and that's what my job is. So what do you think I have to look at to see if you could afford a house? There's two big things that I double check.
They're things that they've done in the past.
Okay, yes. That's one. That's not one of the two, but that's absolutely one we look at.
If they have enough money to afford the house.
Perfect. We talked about, how much money do you need in a previous episode, so that's a great answer. And then what do you think the third most important thing I look at is?
What they do?
What
their job is, to see if it pays well?
Bingo. High five, big girl. You are listening to me. Those are definitely three things that I look at. First and foremost, I need to make sure, do they work and do they have enough money coming in, right? Can they afford what the payment is going to be? Because when you take a mortgage, every month, I got to pay money to the bank. Just like if you go to buy a house and you have a mortgage, every month you have to pay money to the bank. So job number one is, can you afford that payment? Job number two, we talked about it in one of our last videos, which is how much money do you have to put towards the purchase? Do you remember what percent people should bring?
No money at all.
No money at all if they're
a veteran.
If they're a veteran, but what if they're not a veteran? How much do they need?
5% or 3%.
Try to get 3 or 5%. Look at you, answering all the questions. And then what you said, the first answer you gave is also very important. Do you remember what the first answer you just gave me was? When I asked, what do we look at?
If their job pays well?
No, that was the last thing you told me. The first thing you told me was, what have they done in the past? What I like to look at with people's past is, what kind of debt do you have? Do you know what debt is?
So let's say you bought something from someone and you're like, oh, I'll give you this if you give me that now. That's a debt because you have to pay them. And once you finish paying them, your debt's over.
So smart. You take after your mom, you know that? So 100% correct. one of the biggest things we see with that kind of debt you just talked about, do you know what they are? They look like this.
Hearts?
And I go like this or like this at the store with it.
Money?
Do I usually use money or do I
Card.
use, what kind of card?
Credit card.
A credit card. And a credit card is a form of debt, right? I'm paying on a credit card and I'm telling the credit card company, hey, you buy this for me now and I promise I'll pay you later. That's debt. So credit cards, I'm gonna look at how many credit cards they have and have they been paying their credit cards on time, because that's important. Another thing that they might have is a car payment, right? Not everyone can just buy a car. And so what they'll do, just like with how you get a mortgage or a loan on a house, you can do the same thing with a car. But if I owe money to credit cards and I owe money to cars and I owe money to other places, does that hurt or help me afford a mortgage payment?
It hurts you.
It hurts me, right? Because the more money I have that I'm spending, the less I can afford for my mortgage payment. So those are the three things I look at. I also look at something called credit scores. We'll actually talk about that. I don't know if it's gonna be the next video or a couple videos from now. We'll talk about what credit scores are. But when someone's going to buy a house, that pre-approval form we talked about is very important. And it's very important for someone to get that, because then you, as someone who's selling the house, knows that this person, they're not just pulling your leg, right? They can actually afford it because they talked to me. I looked at how much they make, how much money do they have in the bank, and what have they done in the past? Can they afford this house? And if they can, we're good to move forward. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what's your big takeaway from today? What was the thing that you learned?
That loan officers actually do look at their past jobs, like they do look at, so if they can afford the house.
Perfect. And then what was that thing called that lets a seller know that this person can afford it?
Pre-approval.
It's a pre-approval form. Good job, big girl. You rocked it today. That's all we got for you guys today. We'll see you next week. And for now,
that is the end of episode 3 on blueprints and blanket forts. Bye!
see you guys.